I'm going to start with something that's not from objects, just because I can never remember which pages I need to read from that. It's actually some poems that were kind of the interim period between whatever I did prior and objects, and there's kind of a resonance somewhere. I think it's called Give and Hint. In terms and by stillness it's snuck, flight paths over an ocean, flight paths over. There's this third point about the spirit, you see. Claims an era, more of it to come. In the charming abstract of winter down, ward lately the purge of taught aspect. But come be my ticklish ratio upon this earth, or indeed whatever earth, spanned hills and heavy with it, by the frame as each to do, as each today we have forgotten even the fascists, by putting cream in the coffee and watching as a Cadillac sails past on the street below, bills the shape of which we mutely pay. Thinking of squat dancers, a similar brimming of an action, lighted up in the shirt pattern and longest line. There was no way of deciding if the coffee was sour. But for once it does not matter, for welcome all you wheelie boppers, tellers of a principle of good and courtly loving. The next couple are from objects. As all the objects appear on the map rightfully relative to one another, there's only so long of it left, let me tell you. But then you were nearly everyone, as operative as opting to be. As you slept, the object kept up its resemblances, scratched that similitudes, applying itself in filling poor-lit rooms with its multiplying presence, as direct as and as viscous as fitting. The objects begin to clog your mouth. There's only so long of it left. Let me tell you. Restricted passages, double bound in, connect with your friends. This is the designated to not being, the not like anything, able and a flood damaged portal as ache, got nothing, got something, poor sucker, a tongue so fat it grazes against the teeth in interior. Walking to Peckham was a category error, known. Falling in love was a category error, also known. Not falling in love was a category error, also known. We are learning to speak of the objects like they were in Atlantis. The next station is Wapping, wheezing, barely coping with a Happy Meal, in slim-fit shorts and a painted face, duck fair, having taken every position of love until there is an immunity accumulated to it. What was left to hurl, walked on through the barrier and burst into flame. Walking the flood, a super accumulation of category errors, a comic caper that moves to uneven territory, found right back at it again. Stood ground that only in time forgives, sketched haste, the breeze as it came. Put up your template and uneven hiatus. Put up on this hill. One comes to see innumerable hills, close packed and shuffled, as we thieved long for a broad thing. From up on it we sang. A suggestion from several. Talking to winch fat, that strand that greets mechanism, objects brought ashore upon the vagrant tides, heaved first and fitted into hat boxes, walked down the way, slipped into the fat or fact, fixations of tape and glue. What is this season is meeting, drinking in the evening, looming these spectres, ghost hotels over a way, and right from their foundation reflecting on glass, myriad futures appointed, never knew how and who. Each saleable object, it came as lit mystery, a counter and change all upon it. How much to make it register askew. Not always done asking, as when it came, an atmosphere under which askance is given. So it came up to it, dreamt in our lit tiny parlour, or an element just like it, some foundations of askance checked back within the week. Carrying breeze box out of the ocean, tied about the waist, here's a series of sensed obliterations. The boy fires his cat gun into the ground, repeating the action, no one stops him. And today, imagine if we did something truly heroic, like found all the lost dogs in South London. Oh hell, I miss you. Kept low and snuffling in the scent of the earth. We went the ragged furlong, given to thingness, love all for their lunar properties. There are some things we imagine that ceased. Boats pushed from the jetty, jangling recruitments in the lilt of the waves, how it feels to be without a place in the world. Each object with the capacity for thought might eventually surmise. A gaze to go on blinking, and each time the object encounters its temporary cessation. To combat these winking annihilations, a variety of bodies make up its composition, vanishing and returning from one eyes to another's. So the problem is not simply solved by staring, but maybe a thought can fix itself in the place of the presence. Who knows if that is eventually love, the blinking overtaken by the thought, the detail committed to memory, the shape of a breath that mutually acquired. Diving down to a carriage submerged, obscured by coral, this also is to be heaved onto the sand. Slickers for when we were out in the season. I do not know which season this is. To the numerous pissy angels, clear down, there is a sweet one needing, who recently thought about longing, our attention devoted. Those townships are strewn with our objects, and we were given to scraping, a kettle caught like a diving bell. Handmade Mary. Stevenson's and lighthouses, if that is the idea, is how it came, more or less infinite, out for it, stubborn as a water flight and grasp at it, simple to moult, in it for tomorrow. Of all to wish to could have had, you being of them. The coach goes past the Francis Holland School, and someone says, Francis Holland School, set clean through to another day, a handprint on the back of a lorry in the dust. Someone wrote up the eternal committees of that old switcheroos. All those resolutions, baby I'm mine, bisque, lobster bisque, bisque, lobster bisque. The well came as a damp note and bust its roof, and all we ate was lobster bisque. Eating shrimp in Zaragoza, locked up and fingers stained red with the eating. Hand me the merry serviette you Auburn, you to you. Nothing here is a surprise except that old switcheroo. See that thing you'll want, well that's now you. And from up on the hilltop there was the briefest and clearest of views, and that is where the city lay, a cradled excess of buildings, blades gathered to puncture the firmament. It was raining and you were dreaming. Banks of mist rolled in. The water drowned the earth, the underfoot beginning to the long stretch towards Eurasia. This was the way the flood came. The view eventually obscured. You could no longer make out the city as such, sunk in an array of water, the lights diminishing and winking out, one after another. Everything became motion through the fog, frames of shadow, and one lone light, suspended and blinking. From up on it, we sang. Thank you.